our bad feelings on, and yet it just doesn't work that way. When you see that it doesn't work that way, a whole lot of habitual thinking starts to fall away. And when that habitual thinking falls away, you find yourself resting in peace, sitting in meditation, more and more of the time, not because you're working at it, but because there's nothing there to take you away from it.
And I think that's the key piece. There's nothing there to take us away, because it's really more about it's about the removing, or the allowing.
Well, the other thing we've got on our side, right, that we have going for us is consciousness.
Yeah.
So consciousness it seems to have like a homing mechanism, right? It wakes us up to what's really going on at deeper and deeper levels. So consciousness itself is the alarm clock. And that's why we have these sudden moments of insight, these sudden moments of waking up to our crazy and going, oh my God, what was I thinking? Right? That's literally, what was I thinking? Because I guarantee you what you were feeling was what you were thinking. And consciousness is already there. It's like a built-in alarm clock, but we've gotten really good at ignoring it until it gets really loud.
Absolutely.
And as you start to look in this direction, as you start to look towards the quiet of mind, look towards silence, what you're searching for is a quiet mind. Everything else will come through that.
I've also heard you talk about our innate mental health. And when you just said the piece about, our own sort of flavor of crazy, it reminded me of that.
Well, this was one of the most annoying insights into the nature of God I've ever had. Right? I know one shouldn't be annoyed by enlightenment and stuff, but I'm working on my second book for Hay House. It's called Feel Happy Now. It was actually meant to be called Feel Better Now, but happiness was all the rage, so they called it Feel Happy Now.
Okay.
And it was
happiness
about...
was all the rage.
It was about how you can mitigate your anxiety response and your depression response. And it was based on the best neuroscience and neurolinguistic programming that I had available to me at that time. It was also really based on what I did to not kill myself for 30 years as coming out of being a depressed suicidal teen. So it was genuinely exactly what I did. There was a whole thing there about behavioral Prozac, and there were 10 practices that I did every day that kept me sane in my mind. And then I tell the story in the Inside Out Revolution. I won't do the long version, but I went up to, I'd heard about this thing called the Principles, and I was curious, and I went up to study with one of the guys who was like one of the teachers of it, and he had me watch this video from this enlightened Scottish guy named Sid Banks, and I was so, to be absolutely honest, bored out of my skull that I had the video on in the background. I was having dinner, drinking beer, and waiting for the video to be over so I could watch the ball game. And I just heard this guy, Sid Banks, say, every human being is sitting in the middle of mental health. They just don't know it. The beer came out of my nose. I was crying with laughter. And this went on for about 10 minutes. And when it was done, I felt two things. And one was a sense of post-orgasmic peace. Like a whole load of stuff that I'd been unknowingly carrying on my shoulders was gone. But the second was a slight sense of panic, because I was about to go on tour to promote Feel Happy Now, and I could see that the fundamental premise of the book was wrong. that happiness wasn't something that you have to create, that actually stress and anxiety and depression are what we create. What's natural is mental health. What's natural is well-being.
So fascinating to me because, obviously there's a theme here through all of this, which just has me start, seeing the way that we just complicate, or we gook up, or we load in the noise, or load in the stress, or load in the idea that it has to be hard. All of this, that the natural state that you're talking about across the board, the natural state with change, the natural state with thought, the natural state with our mind, the natural state with, our inner peace is all here, and it's all, what do I want to say? I don't know. I want to say it's all perfect, but that's not even the right word. It's all pure, I guess, is what I want to say.
It's pure. It's uncontaminated by our personal thinking. It's impersonal, but not impersonal in a sort of a cold shoulder at a bar kind of a way. Mm-hmm. It's impersonal in the sense that it is true for every human being, regardless of what they've been through in their life.
So, I don't know, then I've got questions from this place of like, what the hell happened?
Well, it's a hell of a magic trick, right? Like the hanging out in your own head is like hanging out, this is a friend of mine's analogy, but it's like hanging out with a close-up magician, and he does magic tricks, and yet you fall for it every time.
Right. Oh my God, that's so good. That's a great way to put it.
And it's innocent. Right? One of the things that Sid Banks said that I absolutely loved, he said, look, every human being is doing the best they can given the thinking they have that looks real to them. Because when it looks real, you don't think it's thinking, so you don't know that you can do anything about it. Mm-hmm. But what consciousness does, as we keep looking in this direction, as we stay in this conversation, is you begin to see, oh wait, that's thought. Wait, that's made of thought. Wait, that's temporary and fluid too. That's not permanent. That just looks permanent. That's not a force I have to reckon with, because the minute I stop thinking that, it's gone.
So I have a weird question.
Oh, good. Because everything I've said has been really
everything
normal.
You said is perfectly normal. Do you relate to thought and insight being the same thing?
Not quite. They're at different levels for me.
Okay.
So thought, as I talk about thought, isn't our thinking. Like, it's not the content of our thinking. Okay. It's that which allows us to have thinking. It's like the delivery mechanism.
Okay,
thought
delivery
is the container.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Insight is a particular kind of delivery.
Okay.
Right? Insight is where we see. It can happen at different levels. So it can be an insight about something, right? Like, oh, I've just seen what to do about this problem at work. Oh, this bit in the book where I was stuck, now I know what to do next. Oh, I know how to make my wife less mad at me, right? Whatever it is, these are obviously not personal examples. I'm choosing them from my vast experience as a life coach.
Of course.
But like, there's those kinds of insights. And those are probably the most common. What the insights, though, that are transformative, what I call the Charlton Heston insights.
I love that.
Right? So there's two kinds of insight. There's Homer Simpson and Charlton Heston. So the Homer Simpson insights are where you go, oh, how could I not have seen that?
Right.
Like, how obvious is that now that I see it, and how invisible was it right up until I saw it? Charlton Heston insights are the ones that are sexy and we write books about. Because they're the ones where we go, oh my God, and it just is so dramatic and everything looks different after than before. But the nature of that, of a Charlton, so for me, what those insights are they're seeing truth. They're seeing through the illusion. Mm-hmm. So they're not creative thoughts like the kind of insights into here's a better way to. They're a falling away of thought. So it reveals more of what was always there underneath. So in a way, insight as a transformative agent is more of a mining operation than a manufacturing operation.
Okay.
It's seeing what's already there, not creating something new. Insight, as it helps us in our business, in our creativity, in our lives, that's a creative force. That's another use of thought.
And I don't know, I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but I know you can take it. Because I asked you the weird question, and you said that sort of thought is the container and then insight is a delivery. What would you say are other delivery mechanisms?
Oh, there aren't any that I'm aware
There
of.
aren't any.
No.
Okay.
No, it's all
Okay,
thought.
so it's just
all
that.
thought
It's
all the way
okay.
down.
All
And
right.
that's what makes it so simple and so annoying. Because we want it to be complicated. Mm-hmm. We want there to be causes that go back to our childhood or past lives or this or that. You're feeling thought in the moment. Now, the good news about that is that thought can change in an instant, which means that your experience of life can change in an instant. You're
Absolutely.
never more than one thought away from a completely new experience of being alive.
So, again, not maybe another, sort of just me being me question. So if we know this, we intellectually know this, you're sharing this with us, all of us, and we believe you and we trust you and we know this now.
Well, then you're screwed. And
Because
no,
we
genuinely,
trust you.
because then you're stuck with understanding why a joke should be funny.
Right.
Right? And well, he's a funny guy, and I get the joke. I understand why
Right.
the joke is funny.
Right.
So there you go. So let me go talk to other people about this now. No, if it doesn't make you laugh, you didn't get the joke. If you aren't at some level going, holy freaking mother of God,
Yeah.
you're getting this intellectually, but you're not seeing it. And it's when you see it that change happens. It's not.
Yeah.
Look, you take 100 people who've been told smoking is bad for them, and you show them the videos of the rotting lung and all this stuff, and you give them the statistics, and 100 out of 100 leave the doctor's office going, "That's it. I'm done. I'm never going to smoke again." And within